So you think you found that dream home. You're getting close. I want to share some potential red flags that maybe you haven't seen so your dream home doesn't become a big disaster. These are the red flags that can potentially cost you thousands of dollars. I'm talking about the financial piece of it, but don't forget the emotional piece of coming home and the amount of time and mental effort you need to do to fix something you didn't know about ahead of time. Without further explanation, let's jump in to make sure your dream home isn't a disaster with these 7 key points. Cheap flooring and do-it-yourself sub-quality flooring is a huge red flag and something you should really watch out for. Bought a lot of homes in my lifetime, and I can tell you one of the things I'd love to do in an older, well-built home is stick my head in the closet, grab a pair of pliers out, and just pull that carpet back a little bit to see if there was good old-fashioned wood floors underneath it. The way they used to build homes where they put this beautiful wood floor in, then they went and covered it with carpet. It is an absolute dream if you're coming in to buy a house. You can pull that nasty carpet out, fresh coat of sand, polyurethane, you're ready to go, and it's good for the next 50, 60 years. What I see in a lot of homes right now is really cheap flooring. There are some good luxury vinyl tile out there, and it's come a long way in the last 10 years, but I can tell you, you want to be careful because flooring can get really expensive. It's quote-unquote easy to do yourself, but if it wasn't done right, you're going to be redoing it. It's going to cost you thousands of dollars you didn't expect. A couple indicators that I look at of sub-quality flooring or even subflooring. Subflooring is the layer below the flooring. If you see a wave in the floor, if you see things aren't quite level, if you see poor grout work on tile, those variety of things are going to be a big indicator that you've got an issue underlying underneath that subfloor. There's a lot of people in the DIY, do-it-yourself space. Watched a couple shows, they're going to go out and flip a house. Seeing flooring can be an early indicator that you're going to find other issues in the house that aren't as easy to see as that flooring. If I'm walking through a house and I see a flooring issue right out of the get, I'm going to talk to my inspector when he comes in and say, I'd like you to pay particular attention to the flooring in this room or that room. Is there some underlying issue I don't know about? What are your thoughts on it? Get another opinion from someone that does it every day as a home inspector. The second red flag that your new dream home might be a disaster is fresh paint in areas you wouldn't expect to see fresh paint. One of my areas I look at a lot is the basement. If you have a house that has a basement, sellers love to slap a quick coat of paint in the basement. That paint may be covering mold, mildew, water leaks, foundation cracks, a variety of things. A quick coat of paint to knock down that musty, dank smell or to get the mold off the wall is only going to take care of it on a surface level, and it's going to be something that pops back up down the road. Paint in the right areas is good. Paint in areas that seem unusual, get my spidey senses going that I got to ask a couple other questions and see if this is covering an underlying issue that I don't know about. Home inspections are not typically required when you buy a house, but it's something that I highly recommend. If I see this in an area like a basement, I want to talk to my inspector about checking the moisture in that area, maybe doing a mold test. Check to see if there's something else out there that just got covered up with a coat of paint. Number 3, smells. Overcoming smells, big smells that may be masking something else. I've been in 300, 400, 500 homes in my lifetime, and I've always walked in and I've said, is that cat or is that dog? Like, you can just smell. Is it smoke? Is it whatever else? Sometimes people will try to mask that smell. The old thing used to be cooking apple pie before your open house, which I always thought was goofy. But beyond the apple pie, it's some big something masking a bigger smell. Pet odors are potentially really big deal, especially cats. They can get into the flooring and it's almost impossible to get rid of. I've seen houses so bad that I've owned that not only do we have to pull out the flooring, We had to pull out the subflooring all the way down to the floor joists. The person that owned this house was a pet hoarder. So use those smell as one of those senses to see and ask a couple more questions. See what are they trying to cover up, if anything, and if they are, dive in a little deeper. I've always said that anything can be fixed with time or money. What you need to think about is, what are these indicators showing you? Is there something bigger that you don't know about? Doesn't mean you shouldn't buy the house. You should just come in with your eyes wide open and get those things going and thinking, what is this trying to hide? What is the potential issue? If it is an issue, how big is it? How much is it going to cost for me to fix? As you roll into number 4, this is a great segue talking about something that is a big, expensive issue, and it has to do with the foundation and foundation cracks. Let me be clear. Concrete cracks. Cracks in foundation are normal and they are common. Same way as your driveway at your house, you would see a crack, or a sidewalk, you would see a crack. Cracks happen. Are they surface cracks, or are they full cracks all the way through that are going to leak? Are they just a crack, or is it an underlying foundation issue? Foundations poured, houses built in that foundation. Weak foundation leads to big potential issues, but just because you see a couple cracks doesn't mean there's a foundation issue. It means you need to talk to a home inspector and see how big the issue is, if it is even an issue at all. So don't just get freaked out because you see a couple cracks. Every house has cracks in foundation, but ask questions when you do see them. An extreme example of a foundation issue would be, it was so bad that the house had to be elevated. A brand new foundation had to be poured, and the house got sat back down on that foundation. This is like a car when the transmission goes. It's very expensive. If there's an issue, know what you're getting into and look for indicators of foundation issues. Number 5 to look for are water stains, signs of past leaks or maybe even current leaks. Walking through a house, you may look up at the ceiling and see a spot that's clear water damage. You go upstairs and maybe there's a bathroom directly above there. Pretty easy to see what it was. It was likely a sink or a toilet. But I tell you what, if it was a shower and it was tile, maybe it's a bad pan what the shower goes into, and that pan failed and that water's leaking. Is this something that's old? Meaning, is there a brand new bathroom up there? Has the house been redone, but there's an old leak from something in the past? That's very common. If you see water leaks in an area that there just shouldn't be water leaks, it would be an indication that maybe there's a roof issue. These water leaks are a good indicator of something that you need to dig deeper in, because it's not just the water and the water damage. The underlying piece there can be mold as well. That water in the right environment can set up a toxic house that you have mold that you don't even see. Personally, when I walk into a house, I can tell if there's mold in it. I have a very high propensity to feel that. I've almost had to go to the emergency room and walk into a house before that mold triggers some things in me. Other people don't have it. I've heard stories of people ending up in the hospital or houses being completely torn down because that mold got so out of control that it couldn't be rectified. Home inspector will help find these things, but use your common sense and point things out that you want that inspector to focus on, so you don't end up at the house easily with some water issues, but a bigger issue, a mold issue that could really affect your life. Number 6, bad landscaping, overgrown landscaping, and grading issues. It's not just about curb appeal. There's a functionality. If the house itself, if water when it rains comes back to the house, a big grading issue. Overgrown vegetation can set issues with gutters, drainage, sprinkling if you have sprinkling system. A whole variety of things are out there. So beyond just the looks of it, there becomes some issues with the house. Are roots growing into the foundation? Are they into the gutters in the system? Have the roots torn up the sprinkling system potentially? Landscaping is a very expensive item that people overlook. Yes, you can do it yourself on a small yard. probably not as big of a deal. You get into a bigger house, it gets expensive. It's not just grass. There's a lot there, and there's a lot with grading, landscaping, and something to be really aware of. A great example would be some old overgrown trees. And trees are awesome. I love trees. I love the shade. I love the foliage. I love all that. But if that 100-year-old tree is hanging over your roof and it's dying, it's a potential right there that one of those branches come off, it comes through the roof. Or the roots have gotten into the sewer system. I've seen countless tree root systems get into the sewer system. I just had a client with a quote the other day, $30,000 to replace the sewer from the basement out to the garage. These are big issues. Take a close look at landscaping. Again, something to talk to your inspector about. Maybe you want to get a sewer inspection on top of a standard home inspection. Highly recommend it. Number 7, take a close look at the seller disclosure. The seller of that home needs to provide you as a buyer a disclosure of known items or unknown items in the house. Some people will be vague about issues. Yes, no, or unknown. And be very careful of looking at the unknown items. They're going to say, well, I didn't know. You didn't know what? You didn't know the pool was leaking for the last 5 years? Obviously, you did know. Ask a couple more questions when you see vague or missing items on a seller disclosure. Yes, if the seller lies, you can go after them after the fact, but that gets expensive and litigious, and it just doesn't always work out well. You're better to ask more questions on the front, get an indication of what issues are out there and things you really need to focus on to make sure your dream home doesn't become a disaster. We've just gone through 7 points that I look for to help keep your dream home from becoming a disaster. I want to focus on a couple things when you look at this and recap. You're going to find issues in any house you buy, even if it's brand new. Number 1, ask questions. Be inquisitive when you see something. Doesn't mean you're not going to buy it. It doesn't mean you should freak out, but you should ask questions, additional questions. Number 2, I would look at finding a professional, a trusted home inspector to come in and look at these items. This is all they do all day long is look at homes. I will tell you this as well, give you a little side note on this on a home inspector. A home inspector's job is to find issues. There are going to be issues. That's okay. Gives you something to do on Saturday and Sunday. Work on little projects, but you know what you're getting into when you ask those questions ahead of time and get a true professional to come in. Don't be afraid to negotiate. When you find that house and you find issues, it creates an opportunity for you to get a potentially better price on the home if you want to fix it yourself or do it yourself, or negotiate to have it fixed before you buy the house. An offer is a starting point and something you agree on. You have an inspection period to find issues. You then have the opportunity to go back and potentially negotiate those issues. Great example. Maybe a furnace comes back and the home inspector says, you know, this house only has a couple years left on the furnace. I think you could patch it up and get through the next 3 or 4 years. Cool. In that case, you might negotiate a $10,000 lower price so you can put a new furnace in when you want to, and you may limp around and use that furnace for the next couple years if it's safe, but it doesn't have to be fixed right now. Compare that to a water heater that's about to blow up, it's leaking, and it's going to go any day now. You want to get that water heater fixed right now. Negotiate to have them put a new water heater in. Remember, if they fix it and they do it before close, you don't have to pay it. If they reduce the sales price, yes, you get a lower price, but you still have to pay for that at some point down the road. So it depends on what's right for you. Don't be afraid to negotiate. And the last item I would say is this: if it's not right, don't be afraid to walk away. I will tell you, there's a question that I always ask with clients when they've gone through a couple homes and they got close and something fell through because of inspections and they buy a different house later. I can't help myself. I ask this question all the time. Do you like this house? better than the last house. I don't know why I ask it. I can't help myself, but I can tell you this, 99% of the time it's yes, this was the right house for us. I'm glad the last house didn't work out. Don't be afraid to walk away. Okay, those are the 7 red flags to look out for so your dream home doesn't become a disaster. I shot another great video I think you'll enjoy on the top home buying mistakes to avoid in 2025. Ton of viewers, ton of comments. Check it out.